Okay, BI4 is here, time to train. And as you can see, everybody's very enthusiastic about that. BI4.1 is coming, and the training offerings will be updated again. And again, the same kind of enthusiasm. There was a complete revamp of the majority of the BusinessObjects training courses for 4.0. When 4.1 comes out, there will be a second revamp. And so you should be aware of that because there are quite a lot of changes that are coming in 4.1 as well. SAP Education has decided not to make changes in between, right, the two releases, and I'll explain some important points as a result of that. The standard offerings available today with SAP BusinessObjects, the typical instructor-led training courses, the ones you go to places like InfoSol to receive or you have on site, e-learning, both the individual topics and the new subscription libraries where you get everything to access, computer-based training, the Knowledge Accelerator product. Also, there are certifications I'll talk about, and custom training, which is offered primarily by the partners. So in the instructor-led training, as I said, there's new 4.0 courses. These have been modified or written from scratch again, and they're also available as virtual courses. Virtual courses have become very popular with SAP, by the way, because it's a very good way for them to generate revenue. Virtual courses, you've got a live instructor, but you're doing it over a webcast. Okay, so they can train a lot of people, right? And guess what? They charge you the same amount as if you came to a standard class. So it's a good way to make money without the person or the instructor moving. So these are the new certified courses on the admin side. As you can see, a new data services course for 4.0. 4.1 of data services has just come out, by the way. A data quality course as well. On the admin side of BI4, a revamped admin and security and admin server. These were the old 2-day, 3-day courses, still exist. And a revamping of the 330 course, which I'll talk about in a minute, which has become very, very popular now for designing and deploying a solution, because that covers a lot of the migration pieces that are involved in moving from 3.1 to BI4. Also, of course, the new universe design tool called the IDT, the information design tool. New courses on that, both a 3-day standard course and a 2-day advanced course, and again, they are modeled on the original universe design courses. I'm going to rush through this very, very quickly because we're really out of time, but basically I'll point out the ones that are significantly different. In the case of data services, data quality, between the 3.1 courses and the 4.0, minor differences. There's not a lot of new content in there. They've changed some of the class exercises and so forth. So if you've already attended and you're already using data services in 3, you really don't need to go to the 4 courses. The delta is fairly minor. Same in the case of the admin and security. If you've already taken XI 3.1 administration courses, there's no need to go right to the equivalent 4.0 courses. The best method is probably a little bit of knowledge transfer, right, in terms of some of the things that have changed, but they're not, right, significant. The 330, most people never attended that in the 3.1 days, but now it could be worth attending, right, if you are going to be the person responsible, right, for doing that actual migration, because it's going to talk about the new migration utility. The import wizard is no longer there, right, that goes away. It's going to talk about this new upgrade management tool. It's going to talk about the new monitoring capabilities. But in all fairness, the 330 course was designed for enterprise-wide environments, right? The customer who's going to have multiple deployments, multiple instances of business objects, and has a huge, right, set of users and servers to administer. So it's more related to that. If you're a medium to small size shop, this is overkill to do the 330 in the first place. Yes.
Is the basic sizing logic still in place as far as like figuring out how many users you have and the jobs and things?
Well, there's a new calculator available for BI4, and the general rule of thumb is whatever you had for 3.1, double it. Okay, but that's a rule of thumb because it really does depend on your environment. But certainly 4.0 is a resource hog. It's a 64-bit architecture. You can't, when we run it on our VMs, you can't really run it on less than 16, gig of RAM. Okay, so you're really, sorry, 16 meg. You're really going to see a big difference in that regard. It uses a lot of memory and it uses more CPU. Okay, and there is a new sizing calculator, but everyone who I've spoken to who have used the SAP sizing calculator have said it's not very good. Right? It really does, because how can it be? It's everybody's so different. I've got X number of users, this number uses Webby, this number uses Crystal, this number uses that, but how do you really know what they're doing? Right? I mean, and the sizing calculator is doing the best it can, but it's not real world. Real world is to do some proper load testing. Okay. So new universe design tool, quite a lot of changes in this because it is a redesigned product per se. However, the underlying principles of semantic layer and the way it works remains the same. But remember, one of the big differences was that now, with the new IDT, we can go against OLAP data sources and we can generate multi-dimensional query as well as SQL, to access this information. It's not working exactly as it should right now, but it will in the future. And the tool itself has been completely revamped. So this is quite interesting. So a lot of people are taking the IDD course as they move to 4.0. But you'll find a lot of the principles that are covered in that course are the same. And so there is a little bit of repetition there, that happens as well. But here you see the list of all the new features and so forth. And obviously you can see just from this visual, it looks significantly different. On the end user side, bunch of revamped and new courses there. For Crystal Reports 2011, and by the way, 4.1, Crystal Reports 2013. Okay, and Crystal Reports 2013 is just an upgrade of 2011. It is nothing to do with Crystal Reports for Enterprise, which will have its own path going forward. I think we get to 1.1 or something, I don't know. But just again, for those who don't understand, SAP rewrote Crystal Reports in Java and integrated it into the BusinessObjects environment, and that's what we call the new Crystal Reports for Enterprise. However, it is not equivalent yet to the standard old Crystal Reports 2008, 2011, and now 2013. And the two worlds are still significantly different. Has anybody actually tried to use Crystal Reports for Enterprise in BI4? I know there's only a couple of you, Yeah? Don't. Doesn't work very well at all. Just don't do it. You're coming up against a lot of pain. You will, especially if you are used to using Crystal Reports. Okay, wait, it'll get better. And so they used to be like a 2-day, 1-day in the Crystal Report world. Well, they got really smart and they changed it to a 2-day, 3-day. But it's still 5 days worth of training. But again, if you've attended Crystal Reports training, you don't need to come back and do 2011, The differences are minor, between 2008 and 2011. Not enough to justify going back and redoing the courses.
Seems like there's a lot of parallels with what they've done with Webby and Mass.
In the new Enterprise.
In terms of look and feel, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. In the new Crystal Reports for Enterprise, this is absolutely correct. Yes, but not in 2011. That's just a continuation of the desktop style. Web Intelligence again, some nice new features, enhancements. better hierarchy capabilities. They use the new graphics library that's available in Explorer, is now available in Webby. Lots of nice new features. But again, if you've already attended Web Intelligence, you're going to find something like about 75% of the data, of the information in the course is the same as it was in the 3.1. So that could be frustrating because you're saying, I know that, right? And only a small part is going to be different. Okay, so again, we will publish these slides on the AZBOCUG website so that you can look at the detail in terms of what actually changed in each of those courses that I just spoke about. Okay, dashboarding. Okay, there used to be a 3-day course. It's now been condensed to a 2-day course for dashboards 4.0. It never should have been a 3-day to start with. 2-day is quite sufficient based upon the material. And again, they've added some new functionality. I mean, one of the big things about dashboards 4, right, is the ability for the new query builder connector, so you can go directly against the universe from inside the dashboards designer tool. And so that's the real big difference. A couple of new charts, the waterfall chart and so forth. The big question is, okay, great, now we can generate HTML5 components with Service Pack 05 of BI4. It's not in the course, and it won't be until 4.1. because they said they won't change the courses. So some of the new features that have been delivered in service packs are not included, right, in the course itself. So as I said, yes, new capabilities there as well. And then the e-learning courses, these are the ones that have been updated and are available now: data integrator, admin and security courses, and here are the end user courses that have also been updated for 4.0. And of course, these are also included in the library subscription as well. There are 3 BI4 certifications available, one for Crystal, one for Web Intelligence, and one for the administration side. There's a 4th one that should be released sometime in the July-August timeframe for data services or data integrator. So they're all associate certifications. If you're interested in getting those certifications, let us know and we'll tell you what that curriculum looks like, which courses you have to know really well in order to pass the exams. The exams are usually through Pearson VUE, and you have to go to a Pearson VUE exam center and do the test, which is 2 or 3 hours. On the Knowledge Accelerator side, courses have been updated for 4.0. KA, which is the computer-based training offering available for SAP BusinessObjects, is really only designed for end user elementary type courses. It's not for the advanced user. So you don't see, universe design in here, and you don't see administration and things like that, right? The beauty of computer-based training and Knowledge Accelerator is that you can customize it. And so therefore, you could take a Webby course, a Webby4 course, you could go in and change it specifically for your environment, your data, and so forth, and then make it available to 500 people, right, all doing it, right, using an environment that's familiar to them. That's the advantage of a tool like KA. And then custom training, definitely the way to go for anybody who is an existing BusinessObjects customer running XIR2, running XI 3.1, who simply is going to transition and upgrade to BI4. You don't need to go back and retake all those courses if you've already taken them before. Instead, it will be better to go with a custom approach and take just the delta pieces, right, and put them together in an offering. SAP doesn't do that today. They're not planning to do it. And so you really need to talk to an authorized education partner like us, or many of the other AEPs out there that will offer, right, the custom approach. And the things that you'll want to look at are things like the differences between maybe desktop intelligence and web intelligence. By the way, of course, you all know that desktop intelligence is not supported in BI4, so it finally does go away, although there is something called the Desky patch that's coming with 4.1 that allows you to take Desky reports and bring them into the BI4 repository, right? And then you could still execute them, right, on the desktop at least, right, or right back on the server, but you can't integrate them with scheduling and publishing and things like that. And it's there for the purposes of, you know, SAP got itself in a twist again because a lot of the customers, they wanted to go to BI4 to get HANA, right, said we can't because of desktop intelligence. And so SAP said, oh, we'll fix that. We'll bring out the Desky patch. Okay, the Webby differences, the universe IDT differences, these are the key things. So this is what a good example, this is what it would look like if you said, okay, I have XI 3.1, I would like to do Delta training to go to BI4, right? It would look something like this. And in fact, this offering is being offered at IBIS, right? And is one of our standard boot camps. You do about a day of IDT, right? Of the new information design tool, covering the major differences between the old Universe Designer and the new tool. You do about a day of web intelligence. Again, looking at the major differences and the delta that's covered there. You know, and then a day that would cover crystal, dashboards, and exploration views, right? And again, you can modify these depending on your environment. Maybe you don't use Explorer, you're not interested in eView, so you keep that out of it. Maybe you don't use dashboards. Maybe you use a lot of crystal, so you want to extend that part. Maybe you turn it into a 2-day as opposed to a 3-day. But this is typical, right, of the Delta training. On the administration side, we would recommend more of a knowledge transfer approach, right? That rather than, you know, pull those guys out and put them in a classroom, it's much better to sit down, work with them side by side as they're putting up the sandbox and show them, right, the key differences. So just like I say here, one size never fits all, everybody's different, so you've got to take into account a lot of different factors. If you're a small company, you don't have a lot of money to spend on this. If you're a big company and you've got half a dozen administrators and, you know, 20 universe designers and lots of people who develop reports, then you're going to look at it differently. And as I said, you know, you might want to consider the consultative versus training approach as well, that sometimes it's more effective, particularly for people like the administration people, to just be standing next to somebody who knows it, who's done it before, and can show them, right, the key differences.
Well, why do they have to have two different classes, one for data services and one for data quality?
Well, actually, the data services class doesn't really cover the data quality in any depth at all. It just touches on it as yet another transform. Okay, whereas in data quality, there's three main transforms. There's the name parsing, the address cleansing, and the match and merge. And all of them are quite advanced in terms of how to use them and so forth. And so you really need a deep dive into those particular you know, three transforms that you couldn't cover, right, in the rest of it. When you go to the first class, the 3-day class, it really talks about ETL, right, extraction, transformation, and load, and the whole tool set, and, you know, how to create jobs, how to schedule, how to, you know, tie and put charts together, flow charts together, and so forth. And it doesn't go into any of the transforms in any detail, right? Whereas people who are using data quality transforms in particular are going to want to know a lot more, right? How do I do, right, address cleansing? How do I do, you know, the name parsing? If I create my own custom dictionaries, right, how can I utilize those effectively? How do I do the weighting and loading, right? Or the weighting in terms of, you know, I'm going to give 10% to this factor, 20% to this, and so forth. It's a lot of, it's very different.
Did they build their own?
Sorry?
Did they build their own?
No, they came from, what was the name of the company? Somebody help me out here. First Logic, was it? No, First Logic?
First Logic?
Yeah. So BusinessObjects bought First Logic, and then SAP bought BusinessObjects, Okay, so the data quality is actually the original first logic transforms, right? Which are the best on the market, and Informatica uses those, or used to use those, and so forth as well. Okay. Any other questions? No? Time for the drawing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Tammy. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Report conversion tool, is it still in tool? Does it work any better?
Okay. So the report conversion tool for the Desky to Webby you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they've improved it again. They say at 4.1. Which tells me that it's still not working in 4.0 as well as it should be. Otherwise, why would they improve it, right, in 4.1? However, I've heard from some customers that yes, with each release it has got better. Okay, but the only way to really find out is to try it, because different customers have different things, in there. I mean, if you've got desktop intelligence reports with heavily, SQL and stored procedures built into them and so forth, the conversion tool's never going to handle those, right, ever, right? So you may as well just start from scratch on those ones. But other things, yes, it will handle.
So is 4.1 officially released now?
No, it's in beta.
Okay.
And the beta only just started. Okay, so SAP is saying September for GA, and I'm saying, well, October, November at the earliest, right? Just going on past record and so forth. But there's quite a lot in it. So that's always worrying, because that means a lot of things can break. However, of course, it is also incorporating all the things that they know were wrong in 4.0. So there's a lot of fixes as well. But many of those fixes have come in the service packs. So the latest service pack in 4.0, Service Pack 6, had a lot of things that were destined for 4.1. And they've been put into Service Pack 6 to fix them now. Right? Okay. My advice is don't rush into 4. At all, and really put it through its paces on your sandbox and try out everything before you decide to pull the trigger and go ahead.